Yes, oh yes, it's that time of the week. It's time for Monday Night Raw with your review by Retro Joe. That's me, your host for this episodic installment of Raw Power, folks. Thanks for being here. I'm your host, Retro Joe, and I must say, Raw was okay this week. There was a couple of good spots. There was a couple spots I didn't really care for. But in all, there were some good matches on this episode of Raw. So let's dig right into it. Let's do a deep dig. Let's get into it because Dynamite and the other shows are fastly approaching and we need to get on with the show. So we start out the show of Raw with Seth Rollins doing a parody fake retirement ceremony for Rey Mysterio because y'all remember before Rey Mysterio was injured by the Monday Night Messiah and his cronies a few weeks ago on Raw. So this is all a sham. We don't have to go too much into this. This is Seth Rollins poking fun at Rey Mysterio's expense, and that's pretty much all it was. So later on the show, Rey just gives a little update, pretty much saying, hey, I don't know if I'm retired. This was just a setup. I can't say for sure, but he most likely will return to the red brand in the future. So match one, we move on to this. We have Seth Rollins versus Alistar Black. Great opener match. Made both look really strong. Made Black look really strong on this one. During the match, we have Humberto Carrillo. He comes out to help because the cronies are causing problems throughout the match. And then we have Alistar Black surprisingly taking the win, which is awesome. Made him look very strong, kept his momentum going because Alistar Black is one of the up-and-comers, and I think he's amazing. After this, Seth Rollins was a sore loser about the whole thing. He has his cronies, beat up everybody, curb stomps them all. I have to say, I like this Darker Messiah version of Seth Rollins. Before, I didn't really care for Seth Rollins, honestly. I think the Sling Blade is one of the worst moves in wrestling, and he uses that a lot. And I don't know, with the Darker Messiah, I like him. They're not calling it that. That's what I'm calling it. He's the Dark Messiah. And I actually like this version of Seth Rollins. So, match number two, we move on to the United States Championship with Apollo Cruz versus an opponent of his choosing. And who does he choose? That's right, he chooses the recently injured from last week's match, Kevin Owens, with that tweaked knee. So basically, Kevin is saying, oh, you picked me because you got pity on me. But whatever, I'm going to take that belt from you. Let's go. Of course, this match doesn't go through as planned because we have Angel Garza and Andrade interfering, causing a DQ into match number three, which was Apollo Cruz and Kevin Owens versus Angel Garza and Andrade. Both these matches actually were pretty good. I don't have much to say on them. They're decently paced. I didn't like the setup with the DQ and the two match in one kind of deal. But overall, I wasn't super disappointed by it, but the setup could have been done better. Overall, both were pretty good matches. Apollo Cruz and Kevin Owens will take the win on this one. And that moves us on to a promo of sorts. I don't know what I call these promos or what. Vignettes, I guess you'd say. Video vignettes, whatever. But we have the Street Profits versus the Viking Raiders in the fourth challenge of bowling. Same old stuff. Same old silly fun. Viking Raiders will take the win on that one with their Viking bowling powers. Yes. But honestly, I want to say something about these two things, or this whole situation. So the Street Profits are the tag team champions right there, and you got the Viking Raiders doing these sports challenges. It's fun and silly. I understand. It's a little bit different. It's entertaining. But what happens when the Viking Raiders and them go head to head? They've got all this silly hanging out, high-fiving and all this. It's kind of crushing that, don't you think? If you think about it, does that really help a tag team championship match later? I don't think so. I think it's going to crush all the momentum of this. unless they do some weird writing and whatnot, I don't know, to make this sports thing end in some kind of craziness where they hate each other. I don't know. But anyways, like I said, the Viking Raiders will win the bowling challenge of the week. Match number 4, we have Nikki Cross versus the iconic Billie Kay. Yeah, I had to do that. Anyways, I thought this was a boring match. It's probably a low point of the night. Boring match. Cross looked pretty sloppy in this. I don't know. It wasn't good. We'll just say you can skip this one. This one was not that good. So Billie Kay will take the win on this one, and that moves us on to an interesting segment, a promo vignette, I guess. I had to say that. Start saying that. We have a title change. So we have Rob Gronkowski, the retired football star from the New England Patriots, doing some stuff in his garden, and he's going to do a TikTok video. And in the background, we see a black guy gardening, and we all know who this is. So he starts to do the video. He turns around and do a little shimmy, a little shake, and then we see the guy recording it for him for his TikTok account take off his shirt, and he's wearing a Refs shirt, and we know what's happening next. R-Truth busts out. He's the guy in the back doing the garden, and he will roll him up for a pin and take back that 24/7 championship belt. So the reason this is happening is because Rob Gronkowski has exercised his right to leave WWE. He had a contract stipulation saying that he could leave when he wanted to, but he also has a non-compete clause in that he can leave when he wants to, but he can't go to any of the promotions. This is fine for him because if y'all been following sports news, Rob Gronkowski is going down to play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with his little buddy old pal, his friend in crime, his tag team partner of the last 10 years, Mr. Tom Brady. Yes, he's going to be playing for the Buccaneers with Tommy Boy. Yes, I know, we wanted them to go away so other teams could have a chance. Tired of the Patriots, now it's going to be Buccaneers for the next 6 years. I don't know what to say. Hey, anyways, match number 5, Nia Jax versus Kairi Sane. Good Lord, are we sick and tired of Nia Jax in the ring? If y'all don't follow this stuff, there's been a lot of hate coming out from Nia Jax, and I agree with every last one of those people. Nia Jax is someone who's not deserving of her status. Okay? I believe that anybody of a certain degree can do anything they want. And I don't want y'all to take this the wrong way. But I am a normal Caucasian male, raised in the South, lived everywhere, experienced pretty much everything. But I know deep down in my heart, there's no way I could ever be an NBA star. I will never play in the Super Bowl. You know, I will never invent a cure for cancer. I'm okay with this. I've accepted this. Certain people have gifts, and certain people can just do anything. You know, it's a genetic thing. It's a drive. I don't really know how to explain this, but some people can't just be something because they were born into that family. Yes, because Nia Jax is a cousin of The Rock. I'm sorry, Nia Jax, you will never reach the level of The Rock. The Rock was iconic, a legend. He will be remembered in wrestling pretty much forever. Okay? Same goes for Ric Flair. Same goes for Bret Hart, Stone Cold, all these legends. Just because you're born into the family doesn't mean you have the ability to do these things. Like I said before, I'm never going to play the Super Bowl, but that's fine. That's not my destiny. You need to realize that wrestling is not your destiny and move on. Because every time I see you in the ring, you have no moves, you're not athletic, and you don't sell, and you can't do promos. You need all those things to be a good wrestler, okay? And you can't do any of them. Like, if I was going to go be like let's say, well, let's say here. Let me try and think of something real quick here. All right, so if I worked at McDonald's and I had one job, and it was to flip burgers, okay, but I was born with no arms and no legs. Yeah, that sounds pretty crazy. I'm probably not going to be flipping burgers very well with my mouth. Okay? Spatula in the mouth, whatever. I'm just saying, you can't do it. You need to move on. And we're getting tired of seeing these matches with you because this was versus Kairi Sane, the girl you injured multiple times. In this match, you looked straight up sloppy. It was just garbage. Kairi looked great. She always looks great in the ring. You know why? Because she has in-ring ability, Nia. And this is something you can't just... You can learn it, but it's something that you have to put your passion into, and this is what you do not have. You don't have a passion for the business to get better. Anyways, Nia Jax obviously will take the win because she's a big monster. I'm a monster, and I hurt everyone in the ring. I'm a monster. Yeah, sorry. Anyways, let's move on. Match number 6, Charlotte Flair versus the Empress Asuka. Yes. Great match. Both of these are great in-ring workers. I don't care for Charlotte personally and her attitude, but down to business, she is one of the top women's wrestlers in WWE. She does work very well. She sells moves, and she just looks good in the ring. So, you know, I have to give her that. This match, I hated it. I'm going to tell you why. The match was great. Okay. The reason why I hated it is because it ended in a DQ. And why did it end in a DQ? Because stupid Nia Jax showed up and it didn't make any freaking sense. She comes out with Asuka's music, wearing an Asuka mask, and then Asuka sees her, you know, she's out of the ring, and she's staring at Nia, and then the bell rings. Okay, she was out of the ring for 2 seconds. Why did the bell ring? Nothing happened yet. The bell rings. I guess it's a DQ. WTF. I don't know what happened there. I guess they screwed up on this. But the bell rings, and then Nia runs down and knocks out Asuka. Okay. This is how wrestling works. Okay, there's rules to wrestling. Let me understand. Okay. You get a DQ if someone interferes in the match and hits one of the opponents. The bell rang before Nia hit Asuka, so how is it a DQ? I don't get it. WTF. That was super WTF moment of the night for Raw. And so moving on to the final segment of the night, we have MVP versus Drew McIntyre. When I was watching this, I was looking at the timestamp and it said, you know, this is 2 hour, 5 minute show. It was like at 2 minutes and 2 seconds, or 2 minutes, I'm sorry, 2 hours, 2 minutes and like 27 seconds. And the match ain't even started yet. I'm like, there's 3 minutes left. Oh, this is going to be another Brock Lesnar thing. Yeah, this is going to be that. Yep, it was very short. Squashed the crap out of MVP. And then Drew McIntyre obviously takes the win with Claymore Country, and he's calling it now the Claymore Country, yes. And then we have Bobby Lashley grabbing him for that full Nelson, setting up this Backlash pay-per-view moment because he's going to be taking on Drew McIntyre at Backlash in 2 weeks. Yep, that was the close of the show. That's how it ended. Overall, it was an average show. It wasn't horrible. The Nia Jax problem is hurting her viewer ratings, but overall, probably 3 good matches in the whole thing out of 7. And it sounds like a lot. It just sounds like I said it was, a pretty good show. And it sounds like, 3 out of 7, that's not good. A couple of these were like combined matches, so it's more like 6 or 5 matches, honestly. Anyways, that's all for Monday Night Raw. Stay tuned because the Wednesday Night War is almost here. That's right. It airs tonight. Should be a good show. And I will see you next time on the Pro Wrestling Power Podcast. Thanks, guys, for watching. I'm Retro Joe. And remember, stay safe out there. It's a dangerous world we live in. And, we can't control everything. Sometimes we have to sit back and hope for the best. So, that being said, I'll catch you next time. And remember to keep it Retro